Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show of Marketing Mediator. Today, I have a guest with me all the way from Bombay, Payal. Payal, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Aman. Thanks for
Great.
having me.
Thank you, Payal. Marketing Mediator, we had a discussion about it. So, what I'm trying to do is basically speak to different experts and practitioners from different geographies and also different functions, right? Like, I've spoken to people from brand, I've spoken to people who work in, for example, e-commerce, people who are planners. So, as part of the series, it is great to have you because I really wanted to have a discussion about CX. So, let's jump in. Why don't you start by telling a little bit about yourself, Payal, and also how did you get into this whole world of marketing and advertising?
I won't go all the way back to childhood because I think that's when it all started. I was quite mesmerized by the ads, the jingles, the magazine ads as well. I was kind of obsessed with some of those ads. So it was there somewhere. But I think I didn't want to do a lot of things, and that's how I ended up here because it was my family comes is a business family, and doing an MBA or that was on the charts. But I was like, no, I don't want to like do this, I don't want to do that. And then I chanced upon so um I guess I when I entered the world of marketing, it was all the way from like I've done everything from like logo design to
Mm-hmm.
which was only logo design, not branding, but then branding, packaging, a lot of cool designs for books, etc. Then chanced upon and entered Ogilvy. That's where
Mm-hmm.
really, a lot of communication, design, the traditional advertising kind of began. Uh, Worked with many, many agencies, done different kinds of things. Was always curious about learning more, learning how what's the process and how we kind of engage with the consumers,
Mm-hmm.
what clicks with them, and how they kind of react to the pieces of communication or like the messaging on the branding, etc. And what really gets them to stick with the brand. So I was just interested in the whole process,
Mm-hmm.
and was very curious about learning more and doing more things.
Mm-hmm.
uh, that led me to design thinking, where
Mm-hmm.
so I after like almost 15 years of working in this field, I quit my job one day, and I just went back to
Wow.
studying design thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that opened a lot of like I guess different neurons in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, I did a lot of work that was non-traditional marketing. I tried my hands at workshops.
Mm-hmm.
How can I get others to kind of collaborate and
Mm-hmm.
think through some innovative ideas or just solve some problems that are that exist.
Mm-hmm.
um, so a very interesting problem that we solved or tried to solve for was for a very, very large hospital in the US.
Just for a context, Payal, so when you were, for example, when you decided to, quit your job and study
Mm,
design thinking, this is when you moved to US?
yeah,
Okay. And the example you're talking about is also in while you were in
yeah,
US.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So did a workshop for doctors and the staff,
Mm-hmm.
and which kind of brought to life a lot of issues that exist in the hospital environment,
Mm-hmm.
and how they could collectively solve for a lot of things. And solutions were like all the way from like how do you kind of register the patients to how do you you know prioritize what needs to be done first to all the way from like what technology will help them, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So after that, there was no looking back. There was a lot of like very interesting work with startups, with like
Mm-hmm.
some small and big startups and some big companies as well. So it was primarily associated with like creating brand experiences and customer experiences, more on the customer experience side, some service design projects. And I was just like enjoying a lot and doing like lots of different things. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a little bit about my journey. And then I chanced, like I decided to come back home to India,
Mm-hmm.
and VML Weiner kind of clicked,
Mm-hmm.
because they were also doing the same things that I was trying to do,
Yeah.
and establish. And while I was in the US, I also had my own practice
Mm-hmm.
for a short period of time. My company was called the Thinking Hats.
Mm-hmm.
Started with a co-founder, and we were kind of just doing BX, CX, EX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. So basically, starting with the agencies, then going to US and studying design thinking, and then kind of working with different clients, doing your own practice, to coming back and
Yeah.
joining in agencies. It's like quite a journey. So Payal, my next question is like a very basic question, but
Mhm.
it is very important because I call it $1 million question.
Mm.
That this is a word like CX, customer experience, which nowadays is thrown everywhere, right? And what I feel is that it has been thrown around so much that it has kind of lost its true meaning, right?
Mm.
So please help our audiences by kind of explaining your definition of what exactly is customer experience, especially in context of marketing.
So customer experience, in very simple words, is really creating experiences for customers.
Hmm.
Let's go back a little bit and start with, like, I think people understand brands and branding more.
Yeah.
So if we say brand experience, it's a brand creating an experience for a customer. And that's not just communication, by the way. It's not
Hmm.
just like, different kinds of communication, but it's all of the collective experiences. It's the branding strategy. It's like, how do I want you to see me.
Hmm.
That's what I'm creating for you.
Hmm.
And customer experience is the other side of it,
Hmm.
right? We basically step into the customer's shoes and try to think about solving some problems, or just
Hmm.
like creating some moments that matter to them,
Hmm.
taking away from their um, day to day, and just taking away some of the pain points, probably,
Hmm.
and all the experiences that the brand creates for customers is customer
Hmm.
experience in very, very simple terms.
Hmm.
Now, what that means is how I am experiencing the brand, or and how the brand is basically there, uh, and I'm experiencing it. I'm not sure if I'm being able to articulate it
No, no,
correctly.
no. Please go on. Please go on.
Okay.
It's making sense.
Uh, so it's really about, if I am, say, in a shopping mall, and
Hmm.
I see
Hmm.
one brand, say for example Nike,
Hmm.
and I like something about that brand. I like
Hmm.
a shoe. I want to say it's not available in my size, and I want.
Hmm.
Uh, so that creates a friction point.
Yeah.
Uh, so if there is a person to help me find my size,
Hmm.
or say, hey, we don't have your size, and we can ship it to you, and
Hmm.
you don't have to pay anything extra.
Hmm.
uh, they don't even let me, like, ask me to go online and book it for myself, but it's just, it arrives. So for me, that's like, oh, this is an awesome brand. They took that inconvenience out for me,
Hmm.
and they made my experience better. So this is a very simple small example of
Hmm.
what customer experience really means. If I experience a brand as a customer, and I have a it can experiences can be good or bad, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and all of those are really customer experiences, and that's what we are trying to do. And it's not just, I think a lot of people think that it's just like, it's associated a lot with UX UI, it's associated with digital transformation,
Hmm.
but it really lives everywhere, uh,
Got it.
all around
Got it.
us.
Got
Yeah.
it. But Payal, I think the way you were explaining, right? If, and this is my question and a clarification to you,
Mm.
it seems that, we always had some kind of experience, right? Even before technology, digital, or the smartphones or internet was there. But it seems the modern definition of CX, for example, the thing which you explained, right? It is only possible because of technology.
Mm-hmm.
So is it like a defining feature when you say CX today, that there is some kind of, how should I say it, like an interaction which is enabled by technology underneath that experience?
I would say a lot of times, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but it can also be without technology sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly, most of the times, yes, it is enabled by technology. Another example, Aman, would be say you go as a customer, you go to many coffee shops. Like
Yeah.
if you love coffee, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you go to
Yeah.
many coffee shops, there's no technology over there when you go to a coffee shop. It's
No, it's very
really
human
how
thing. Yeah.
it's a human thing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's how someone's treating you,
Yeah.
how they are catering to you, how they are listening to you, understanding you, and then serving you what you need in a way that you like or don't like. And that's customer experience. Like
Got it.
to, you would go back to certain places again and again because you've had a good experience. And that's CX as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, just to add to what you're saying, I think that is the fundamental thing, right? It makes me feel good, right? I remember that experience and hence I go back.
Hmm.
But I think what is happening is, like, for example, technology, right? If we talk about, like, my favorite coffee shop is Blue Tokai. The digital layer of it is that, for example, if I go to a new city, or if I change my
Hmm.
house, or if I go to a client site, then by the ease of finding out if there is a Blue Tokai here, for
Hmm.
example, is like a digital customer experience. If I can find that information very easily, I think that's a layer of technology. So
Hmm.
I think because a lot of brands today, not just traditional brands, especially the digital first brands, they're
Hmm.
built around technology. Maybe their definition of CX is more about, it is always technology, but it goes much deeper than that, like you
Yeah.
explained. Got it.
It's
So,
really all about
hmm
connecting with people at a very
hmm
human level.
yeah,
And then there are all the add-ons. Like, of course, technology makes life
hmm
easier for all of us. Like, we are talking online, and
hmm
technology is enabling this for us. But there can be so many other ways of doing the same thing. And all
hmm
of that is collectively, what really makes for the experience.
got it. Sure. So I was saying that agencies have always been
Hmm.
in some ways trying to help the brands grow, right? That's the ultimate goal of marketing, or
Hmm.
the way agencies has been working. Uh, but in today's world, when you do something like CX, and I'm asking this question to rearticulate, to differentiate between what was happening before in terms of brand experiences,
Hmm.
how is the modern CX helping the brands to grow?
So it's really enabling a lot of opportunities for brands
Mm-hmm.
to be present where they can't be.
Mm-hmm.
So, in simple, like, so customers can access like things online.
Mm-hmm.
They can, let me explain it through an example. So if you go to uh, you know an Apple store or
Mm-hmm.
like any of these stores, you would want to kind of you'll see the products.
Yeah.
You'll feel there is a touch and feel aspect to it because you're going to put like a big ticket number
Mm-hmm.
on it. uh, but you won't decide immediately. You'll go back, you'll kind of do your research, you'll look at other things that are available, not available. You'll
Always.
compare, it with other products, a Dell, a Lenovo, what
Mm-hmm.
is right for me. And not everyone is a pro and they don't know what is right for them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if at that time they chance upon an article or, Apple kind of assists them with something in
Mm-hmm.
store or online when they're back home, and that's when also all of these targeted campaigns start to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we keep thinking that, oh, I just saw this, I was thinking about this, and how is it that I'm seeing this everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
That's all CX at work, really.
Yeah.
And it's about understanding what the customer wants, and
Mm-hmm.
then kind of addressing it, meeting them where they are, across various touch points.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we are kind of doing. That's one of the things that we're doing. Another thing I would say is like, we are also helping a lot of like large CPG clients consolidate their presence online.
Mm-hmm.
And how that helps is, you are able to gather first party data because it's very important in today's day and age to really
Absolutely.
know
Yeah.
your customer and
Mm-hmm.
then therefore cater the products that you're selling to them.
Mm-hmm.
either through customization, understand them, provide them with personalization, and all of these things that we are talking now are a given. They're not even like, questions that we were asking a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
These
it's
are like
default. Yeah.
expectations. It's expectation, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's changed about all about this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helping brands understand their customers better through technology, building a tech stack, a martech stack, so that we can collect and it's collect data from
Mm-hmm.
time to time. Again, how that works is, it's we don't like no one wants to answer a long list of questions at one go. But when you are
Yeah.
browsing through something and you're asked a couple of things, or it's about really mapping their behavior online
Mm-hmm.
and how they are kind of also uh, what are the actions that they are taking after that? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
does one action lead? Uh, how are we leading them to take the next best action?
Yeah.
That's really what it is. So all of this is really like a thought through process. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of like methods that we use.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of so design thinking, human centered design. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
methodologies, principles that are put into play,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we kind of do the work. And coming back to how we kind of help, I think I've answered the question in some
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. No, no, makes sense. And I think if I was to take a key takeaway, right? So I think what has happened is that today, if you are not a practitioner, right? Like you were explaining, right? If you are going through a consumer journey, again, consumer is not, they don't know they are going through energy. But if they are buying a product, for example, the example you took, shoes, right? So I look something online. I went to Nike's websites. I went to a few aggregators' website. I also happened to visit Nike store, or I happened
Mm,
to visit a physical store. Now you realize, if you think through this, that you are being retargeted, or the way you were able to find a size, or the size was not there, but they told you that we'll let you know if the size is available and it will come to your home. So all these kind of things are being done by carefully designing that experience, and that is what CX is. It sounds very easy and it is expected, but a lot of jobs, a lot of work goes behind it. So I think that's very clear. You touched upon this, pile, and I'm just trying to deep dive a little bit, right? Now, when you talk about CX, right,
mm,
if somebody who's very new to the concept, there are a lot of things which your team, for example, does, right? If I were to just say few words, I would hear about design thinking, right? I already heard about it. I already, you talked about workshops, workshops with stakeholders, clients, consumers, right?
mm.
You also help develop new products if there is a need to existing brand or a new brand. So there is a lot of stuff happening. Can you take like a very simple example and tell people that how does it work, right? If you get a brief, there are
Mm,
so many tools and processes you have, but what are these three four things, and how do you arrive at like a something tangible?
mm. It's a great question, Aman. Um, so design thinking really is a set of methods that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way of thinking, it's a way of working.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is when we get a brief, we kind of just do a lot of research. That's
Mm-hmm.
where it all begins.
Mm-hmm.
Start with like secondary, primary research. A lot of it on starts online, and then talking to customers, potential customers, and understanding, where uh, where would this product or need kind of arise in their life? Where
Mm-hmm.
would the fit be? And then it's really, so this is also called empathy mapping, in
Mm-hmm.
other words.
Yeah.
So starting from understanding the customers,
Mm-hmm.
mapping out their journeys, and uh, you know, figuring out what are some jobs that they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Once we do journey mapping, we kind of get to some need spaces or gaps that exist in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and we try to kind of find opportunities from those gap areas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds very simple, but of
It's
course,
very tough, I know.
there is a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
But really, it's the most important thing in all of this process is to really be stay open to
Mhm.
feedback, a lot of
Mhm.
feedback, because there's a lot of iteration. It's also about doing really, really deep research and
Yeah.
understanding your customers. And I think, again, like looking at your own biases,
Mhm.
and if there are any, that's also important
Mhm.
while you're doing this.
Yeah. So, Payal, another question which I have, because I've seen a lot of confusion around this, right?
Mm.
That there is a process which you just explained, right? Which is actually like trying to understand consumer, things which he's saying and things which he or she is not even saying, right? But usually, if I am like a company, I'm a client, and I'm trying to work with you,
Mm.
because you're a CX expert. Usually, people have something in their head that what end deliverable would be, right? But the way you are explaining, it seems that you at this stage you do not know what the end deliverable would be.
Yeah.
So if a client and ideally is trying to work with somebody like you, what should be said their mindset? Should they be expecting like some kind of deliverable, or at this stage they should be just keeping their head very open, because it seems you're converging and diverging both things in this whole process.
See, the business objectives have to be kept in mind. I
Hmm.
mean, we don't live in an ideal world. It is a realistic world where we have to, I mean, if the client is, say, for example, trying to create a content platform,
Hmm.
then all the work that we are doing will be for the content platform. We'll
Hmm.
know, but maybe there'll be some ideas or suggestions that would come that would go beyond what we are also doing.
Hmm.
And we also propose those to our clients. But if setting the business objectives and doing the work around the business objectives is equally important, like
Hmm.
it cannot be, while the process is ambiguous, a little ambiguous, I think
Hmm.
the objective has to be very, very clear so that we can arrive back after like diverging. We have to converge and make sense of what the business objective is,
Hmm.
because it's also quite, it's not art that we are doing. It's we are kind of delivering to the client's requirements. And if they are trying to kind of sell their products on a platform,
Hmm.
build engagement, or
Hmm.
reduce drop off points, say from a website
Yeah.
in particular, then it's really about solving for that, and
Hmm.
designing the journeys in a way that would give us answers to how we can fix some of those gaps.
Hmm. Got it. Another question I had, Pile, was I think it'll be a nice follow up, right? So when I talk about CX, or very superior kind of user experience,
Mm.
when you look at new age companies, they actually use superior or exceptional user experience as the
Mm.
competitive edge itself. Like it is their main differentiator. So you talk about Airbnb, you talk about Uber, you talk about Netflix, right?
Mm.
There have been many other people who have been trying to do the same thing, right? Of course, there are a lot of other things, but by the fact that their experience is so good, that it is intuitive, as a consumer, it is so easy for me to use Netflix, that if I use something else like any other OTT platform, I'm like already, oh my god, I don't want to do this, right? So this is one definition of CX, right? New age companies. When it comes to traditional companies, right, and especially when you're working in a marketing department, most of the focus is only on communication ultimately, right? And you kind of explained that CX also has a role to play to identify the gaps and have the right messaging and right communication and all that stuff. But as a practitioner, how do you kind of work with traditional companies and try to use CX as a competitive advantage for them?
So when we are presenting of the work, while of course we look at what the ask is right now and we talk
Mm-hmm.
about it, we also show them, uh, research, what research kind of data points that and what they are pointing towards, and
Mm-hmm.
where else there could be some opportunities for them to tap
Mm-hmm.
into. We
Mm-hmm.
also show them a future vision as to if they do XYZ, then what would that lead to. If,
Mm-hmm.
say, for example, Airbnb, when they started, they weren't doing very well.
Yeah.
But what they did later on, they found out the basic problem was that people were not booking them because their pictures the people were putting up of the houses didn't look great. It was a very simple solve, right?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
needed a lot of investment, which was going and just clicking good
Clicking pictures.
pictures of the houses. And there are small things like that which make a big impact. Then
Mm-hmm.
there are also like large experience stores we are seeing these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Experiential stores. So everything from like from the smallest of the things to the largest, we also show a vision of how uh, by following certain, sometimes it's like certain, methods, or by just following the process, what we could get. We also show them how, if we cater to our customers through an experience lens,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we put ourselves in their shoes and walk the walk with them, or
Yeah.
talk the walk with them.
Yeah.
uh, what could that lead to? And most often than not, if we call these big bets, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
these are more long term thinking. So while communication can like drive awareness about a product and can be some pieces of engagement for certain period of time, if
Yeah.
we think about it from an experience lens, from a customer experience lens, we are also able to answer to like business problems and
Mm-hmm.
solve for them from a long term perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
that's really what
I,
it is.
I really love that answer because personally, like one of the frameworks which I really like is the jobs theory,
Hmm.
jobs to be done. And
Hmm.
I've realized, I mean, new age startups actually use jobs to be done framework to define their product itself. Right,
Hmm.
like it can lead to a new idea, a new route to market, which becomes like a revenue source in itself. So I
Yeah.
really love that, you're trying to put yourself into customer shoes and then trying to find, what problems they are trying to solve. Love it. Payal, this was great, right? I think it is very clear that what is the definition of CX, how CX builds a competitive advantage, and I think the way you were explaining is it also means that it is more of like a continuous process. It never kind of ends because
Hmm.
you can always make improvements or things are changing. Uh, I would like to shift discussion a little bit. I
Hmm.
know you are also into a lot into sustainability, and sustainability is also like a hot topic given that the situation the world is in, and there is a lot of pressure on big corporations because ESG and stuff like that, because
Hmm.
they understand the future is ours and companies have a responsibility to play a role in that. So would you like to talk a little bit about that how do you kind of bring sustainability into the world of brands?
I would say, to begin with, I'm still a student,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still learning about sustainability. It's such a large topic, and it
Mm-hmm.
means different things also, right? Like all the
Yeah.
way, like you also pointed out, it means that a business should be able to sustain itself. That's one
Mm-hmm.
meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And if a business can sustain itself, only then, uh, sorry, I'll just rephrase this. So, if a business cannot sustain itself, means it's actually having a negative impact on the climate in
Absolutely.
many, many ways, because they are
Mm-hmm.
wasting resources and not delivering the outputs that they are supposed to deliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that also puts a pressure on overall like climate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And resources that we are using. So that's one meaning of it. There is another meaning, which I am extremely passionate about, and I
Mm-hmm.
still don't have all the answers, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like reading, studying about it. And um, it's about how can we do things in better by sometimes using less resources.
Mm-hmm.
Say for example, if we are also using images on our platforms,
Yeah.
uh, can we reuse the same thing? It's almost like reusing the same outfit multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
and how that actually has an impact on the revenue, on the money that you're spending.
Mm-hmm.
It's also how much uh, you're saving in terms of like resources by not shooting again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
That's also like one of the prerogatives of agencies, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you do something that is more sustainable? How do you produce content that can be reused,
Mm-hmm.
reshared more often than not, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the ways to look at it. Another way is also how large companies, are looking at their resources in
Mm-hmm.
like a macro way, and what's that doing, what kind of impact is that having on the climate?
Mm-hmm.
If they shift, say, one of the things, and can they reduce some consumption,
Hmm.
So that's the third way to look at it, and there are many, many more ways, and I would say I'm still a student. I'm still learning more about sustainability and trying to bring it to life in the work that we are doing.
Yeah, I think nicely explained, because everybody has a different definition. But what I've seen is that no matter what you're doing, whether you're working in marketing, advertising,
Hmm.
manufacturing, there is some way you can like apply the whole
Hmm.
concept to what you're doing and make a difference. Right.
Correct.
Great. Another thing I wanted to talk about is EX, employee experience. Uh, Now again, it's also like grown a lot. A lot of I hear a lot of chatter. I hear
Hmm.
this word a lot everywhere, especially on LinkedIn. Now, if I'm trying to ask you a question here, that why is investing in employee experience really important? Where in a situation where a corporation is actually trying to reduce costs, right? We are always looking at profit margins, top line, bottom line. Is How does EX actually help companies? Why should they invest in it?
I'll ask you a question for this, Aman.
Hmm.
Tell me who caters to your customers.
My team, my employees,
Hmm.
people I hire. Yeah,
So if you don't treat them well, will they treat your customers well?
of course not. Oh, that's a great answer. If I take care of them, they'll take care of my customers, and hence my
Correct.
business would be taken care of.
Yeah. That's
That's an
in short.
mm,
Yeah, that's really in short why it's important. We've also done an EX project, an org
mm-hmm,
transformation project for one of our clients,
mm-hmm,
Aegis Federal.
mm-hmm,
Still wrapping it up, and really, it's about bringing people on board,
mm-hmm,
uh, helping shift mindset, helping them align on a certain goal so that when they feel that they're cared for, they can get behind the company's mission and what you're trying to do.
mm-hmm.
Um, if a company is not people centric, uh, people are not going to like go and sell their product. They'll be like, "Humko to like we are getting our salary,
Yeah,
and I don't want to do anything about it." That's not going to help any company, right? So
exactly.
it's very, very important to actually have a great EX in place, have a
Mm-hmm.
great experience for your employees, because they are the ones who are going to really bring in more customers for you.
Nice, nice. So I think in our discussion, if I were to summarize for our audiences, the word experience itself, like we had like three different definitions, or three ways of looking at a larger word, which is experience. The first thing which you explained was brand experience, right? Which is while I'm interacting with the brand or looking at a brand,
Mm.
how does it make me feel? Then you spoke about customer experience, right? These are those smaller things which actually make a difference, right? For example, not finding a size, right? Or getting the delivery wherever I want, things like that. And we also talked about employee experience.
Mm.
It's okay to focus on brand, it's great to focus on customer, but if you're not focusing and creating an experience for people who are doing those both things, so I think if you have all these experience work together, you're naturally going to be a big business, you are going to make business. So this is all related to business. If anybody has any doubt, I'm just clarifying it. Invest in the experience, you will reap the benefits. While time for some fun section.
Okay.
This is like a rapid fire round. I do not have a, you know,
Will I get a hamper?
yeah, I know. I do not have a hamper. Once we are able to get some sponsors, definitely yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Please don't think too much on whatever you feels, whatever comes to your head.
ठीक है.
Uh, is there a favorite book you have when it comes to customer experience?
It's not a customer experience book, but it's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. I love that
Mm-hmm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone must read it. It's about how companies, how good is not good, but I'm giving a very long answer. Is
No,
that
no, please tell why
okay?
it is a good book. Why not?
It's not good enough to be good. You,
Mm-hmm.
a company must be great to really thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very, very short summary of the book. You
Mm-hmm.
must read it. I'll send you a link later.
Thank you, thank you. And what is your favorite brand if you were to pick only one?
Oh my gosh, there are quite a few.
Anything which comes to your mind, maybe like
I think
recent
Nike
one.
comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Nike is like they have been uh, evolving through decades, and they've been really growing with the customers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, the brand has grown with me
Mm-hmm.
and have evolved with me. So, yeah.
But are you talking as a CX expert or you're talking as a
No,
consumer
I'm
right now?
talking as a customer. I like the brand a lot. CX also, of course, I mean, I like it. If I like it as a customer, means
Yeah,
they're doing something right. And then
something good.
therefore
Yeah.
the CX expert or the CX person also feels that, oh, that's a great brand. So
No,
I
I,
don't,
I I,
yeah.
I love this because a lot of people give such answers, right? Like
Mhm.
most of the discussions are around Apple and Nike and all that stuff, but they don't realize that why it is their favorite brand. It is not
Yeah.
because just the shoe is good. It is not because they make awesome films.
Yeah.
It's because of something which is cannot be seen. It has to
Correct.
be felt, right?
It's the
Nice.
experience, Aman.
It's the experience. Okay, a slightly tough one because I have this question because it is like a really hot topic in marketing and advertising industry from
Mhm.
last few years. You have to pick one brand. I'm talking about investments, right?
Hmm.
Brand or performance. If you were to pick one.
I think so. My answer is because I know the value of both.
Hmm.
Uh, a brand cannot perform well if the branding is great and no one knows it. Performance will not be awesome if there is no branding. If it's an unknown brand, uh, but these days, in today's context, I think performance more than brand. But
Hmm.
I feel like they both have to work hand in hand to really
Yeah,
deliver
yeah,
uh, revenues or ROI.
yeah. I think nobody likes this answer because people like black or white, and this is like doing it together. And
Yeah,
I think finding that balance is very difficult, and that is why there is so much of confusion and so much
correct.
of gyan which people keep giving, right? That you should do 50-50, 60-40, and all that stuff. I think it depends
Mm,
who you are. Okay, so last one. So one of my favorite quotes and everybody's favorite quote who works in CX is that your best experience is your last experience.
mm.
So I'm asking you this question, that which is the really best experience which you really remember as a consumer?
This was it's very clear to my mind, and this is at the Reliance Harkishan Das Narottam Das HN Hospital
Mm-hmm,
um, in Mumbai.
mm-hmm,
My mom was there for about 3 weeks,
mm-hmm,
and I have never had such an experience in a hospital.
mm-hmm.
Right from the first thing that they have done, which I think is awesome, and every healthcare or hospital should learn from that, is that they have taken the hospital smell away. We hate
Wow,
being in hospitals because of the smell.
seriously.
Yeah, there's no hospital smell. People greet you and you feel like you're entering a hotel. It's
Yeah.
not a hospital. It is a they're looking at it from a hospitality space,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is awesome. And I mean, I never thought I would see this day where like a hospital is providing that kind of an experience. So yeah,
No,
that's yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, we should not go to hospitals as much as
correct.
if it is not required. But I think my amazing experience is like my perception about hospital changed when I first went to a hospital in Bangkok because of the immigration requires a test and all that stuff. And I
Mm,
also went to Kuala Lumpur, the Prince Hospital. I mean, it's amazing, right? You don't have to do anything from the moment you step inside. Somebody is there to take care of you. It smells and it feels like a hotel, and everybody explains everything very nicely. And I mean, usually when I've gone to a hospital, it is very stressful. But when I've gone to these hospitals, it is like I did not even realize I went to a hospital. It was like I enjoyed the experience and
yeah.
they solved my problem also.
Correct. Everything was even here, like everything was automated. There was a billing department. We got to down. We they gave us an app to download
Hmm.
where all our records were saved, where
Wow.
all the prescriptions were saved. We could even book appointments. Even in the uh, we had certain issues, and we gave some feedback. In 30 minutes, three people came to meet me. the head
Wow.
of
That's
the
unheard of.
department the head of the department came to meet and explain. And I think all of this, and I was just thinking to myself, all of this is designed for, right? Like all of
Yes.
this is catering to the customer's experience, who's going through certain moments in their life. So they were trying to take away those friction points and make
Hmm.
things easier for us. So I thought like that was really really amazing.
Yeah. And I think you make a great point, right? Because if you are a business, right, and you would say that, oh, I also want to have this kind of experience, but till the time you do this whole hard work of consumer journeys, or this is all service design,
Yeah,
and it is a long process and it is really hard work. If you don't have a blueprint behind that, how are you going to deliver that service?
correct.
These things are not possible. It is impossible, right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Because we
So
most often,
mhm,
sorry, I'll just add to this,
yeah,
most often than not, we just look at, what we can see, which is in service design, we say front of stage,
in the back,
everything
yeah.
that's visible, but there's so much that goes behind, right? Which is non-visible, which is technology, which is communication, which is also processes, people, etc. So all of this has to talk to each other, and there has to be a lot of connection points for the front line or front of stage, or the experiences that we are having that are visible, uh, for them to be really, smooth or
Mhm.
easy or convenient, etc.
Yeah, and I would add another thing, the way you were explaining, right? So sometimes people think that, a great service design or a consumer experience is only for like luxury things, right? An expensive hospital. This hospital must be expensive, right? Or you're talking about a hotel which is like 5 star. But now if you see a lot of companies, they're actually doing the opposite by using great CX. For example, if you see Southeast Asia, there is a boom in a lot of food and beverage brands, like coffee brands. Actually, they are giving cheaper coffee, but it is of the same quality as Starbucks. But the whole point is that they have technology in the back, right? For example, if I can tell you that I'm going to come to your store at 2 p.m., I've already paid. It saves a lot of money because you know what inventory to keep and all that stuff, and the way queuing is done and all that stuff, right? So you can charge a premium and have like a luxurious experience,
Mm,
but you can also design an experience and actually save on costs and offer maybe convenience to people. Yes.
absolutely. If you think of things and design for them before actually executing
Hmm.
CX, and it is proven, there are so many reports that it saves a lot of revenue,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to get into numbers, specific numbers, but it's almost, it really helps companies save up to 60%, if not more, of their
Yeah.
spends. And this is proven. There are many reports.
No, no,
Go look up.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I've looked it up. Like, I can tell you, like, there's so much of research by Forrester,
Correct.
which makes the same point, right? It
Yeah.
is like almost 60%, which is a huge cost. Awesome. I think we're almost touching a time, but I will squeeze in one more question. Uh, there are a lot of youngsters who are trying to get into, whole customer experience, right? And I'm sure that they are also like, everybody gets confused that, should I become a UX designer? Should I become a UI designer? Should I become should I be like a workshop facilitator? Like, there's so many things, and also developers and stuff like that. Would
Hmm.
there be a very simple advice of yours to somebody who's trying to get into CX to make their life easier and make a choice?
I think you have to, I mean, do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Go with, start somewhere, start with what you are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a pull towards one of these aspects, if you are good at writing code,
Mm-hmm.
that's a skill set.
Yeah.
If you are good with visuals, that's a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
If you are good with people, and if you are a good listener, you can just understand people, that's a skill set. So you already know where you stand when you start, when you begin.
Mm-hmm.
Start with one of the things, and I would say just stay curious and experiment with things.
A great answer, but and easy to make a decision, right? So if you're listening, very good framework. You might be a good listener and good with people. There is like a training program or a formal degree for you, and there is a job for you waiting for you. You can do that. If you're good with visuals, there are specializations, and if you're good with machines, there is a job for you. Like, you can get into CX if any of these three different skill sets like appeal to you or you're good at. While that was a fantastic answer, really loved this conversation. Because like I told you, right, CX is like really a buzzword, and I wanted this episode I wanted to use this episode to clarify a lot of things because people have a lot of confusions. But at the end of the day, the whole point is that there are different specializations in marketing today, but we are all trying to do the same thing, which is solving the business problem of the people which we work with. Yeah. Thank you so much, Pyle, for taking out the time. It was great to have a conversation with you.
Thanks, Aman. It was lovely to be here as well. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.